What's going on, my good people? I just want to let y'all know I might have jumped the gun a little bit on the last Wheel of Time podcast episode. That was not the final one. Today, we're actually going to be covering the final chapter of The Eye of the World in the first half, and then do some more discussion on the second half for Jenny's channel. But a few other things to note is after this, we also have one more episode where we kind of give a deep dive into overall thoughts about the entire process of reading this first book. So we got two more of these podcasts coming out for this. On the other side of things, there are more Wheel of Time content videos that we have in the works. As far as here on the Everyday Negroes channel, we have a season 2 prediction video, which is sponsored, which has been kicked off by members of our YouTube and Discord community. The mods are getting that together for us. So if you want to get in on that conversation and also throw in some questions that you want us to take a look at for season 2, man, join the Discord where we're having those conversations. We will be doing those pretty soon. And without further ado, I do want to give a shout out to our Patreon community. Appreciate y'all so much. Now let's go ahead and get to today's discussion.
Well, yeah, so it has been about 2 weeks since we recorded, and things were a bit of a mess last time. So, we do need to finish up. I thought before we get into the final chapter, I would just I haven't actually written a summary here, so this is going to be very off the cuff. First, we had, let's see, they were in the Blight, and then they had all these creatures attacking them. They were running, and then they ended up in the land of the Green Man, and they met the Green Man, who greeted them all with some weird knowledge that he had about all of them. And then they found the Eye of the World, which turned out to be just a pool of Sidene, which is the male half of the one power. And then two Forsaken just showed up and basically bodied everybody. And then Rand ended up fighting two. One of them was killed by the Green Man, and then one of them sort of just blew up, like he just kind of caught on fire. And actually, that's a Rand good point. Was climbing stairs in the sky, and there was an army, and things that he was doing, and the army seemed to be linked somehow. And then the Dark One showed up, and he and the Dark One fought. And then Rand cut the cord, and then the Dark One seemed to die or whatever, and then Rand falls to the earth, and he meets up with Moiraine and the girls, and realizes as he's explaining to them what happened that he was channeling during that fight. I guess that's about it. That's as far as we got before our technology sort of crapped out on us. Or at least my technology, I do
before the cord got cut on the pod that week.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Exactly. So we have Matt, Loyal, and Perrin returning, and now they are here. And they've brought items that were at the bottom of the Eye of the World. And I think what we were, like, we read this part, like we talked about that a little bit, but we were talking a lot about the reaction that the girls had to finding out that Rand could channel. And I guess, yeah, what the the girls and the boys, I feel like a teacher. The girls were doing this and the boys were doing that. What the boys had found. So I guess we could pick up there.
Yeah, we got to talk about the girls or the women's reaction, but we did not get to talk about the guys' reaction because there was nothing for them to react to because they weren't told the information. Yeah, so picking up from there, I think the last thing we discussed was, I think we might have talked about should the guys have known, or how do I feel like the guys would have responded if they did know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like I said, I know the women were a little bit. They paused at first, and then they kind of warmed up to the idea once they're like, okay, it's Rand, all right, it's Rand. It's not all the Dark Ones or the false dragons that we've been hearing about.
Yeah.
But going back, the Dark One, did we talk about the fact that I feel like the scouting report on the Dark One was out, that he was all talk?
You did. You said something about the cord making you a little suspicious.
Yeah, the cord may be suspicious, but I think throughout the whole book, my overall thoughts about the Dark One is, I feel like, again, like the scouting report is out, you're just all talk. Like when we actually get to the moment, you're still talking about how big and bad and how you're gonna do this and XYZ. and then you really didn't even throw a blow. Really, you didn't even get a lick in. Really, from my understanding about that moment. So that was interesting to think like that the biggest nemesis we had was not even the best battle that we had. I don't feel like in a physical sense, maybe in a more mental warfare side of things, that might have been one of the strongest ones. But all talk, at least for hold on, and I see the comments coming in. All talk, Addison 2023 for book one. All right, for book all talk for book one. Now, when we get to the later books, potentially, or the later reactions to the series, all right, I may realize that he's more than talk. But for book one, the brothers all talk. I feel like I am gonna eat my words when it comes to the Dark One being all talk in 2023. I know how they set me up on this. It's gonna hurt so bad when he comes back and just kills one of the main characters. It's like, what's all that speaking you thought you was about? But I get it.
You're saying you think the Dark One is just like he's doing that villain monologue-y thing? He's not really.
Let me fix my statement. For book one, at least. For book one.
Okay.
For book one. For book one, man. I feel like he's gonna have that Negan effect. Like, so for those of y'all who watched The Walking Dead.
I haven't watched Walking Dead. Okay, I know about this.
Dang, I gotta be careful.
I have literally no intention of watching it. So.
Okay. There's a scene where he does a lot of talking once he actually confronts Rick and them's group, for those of y'all who've seen The Walking Dead. And he seems like he could go there, like go to the extreme. But he's doing a lot of talking at first, and then he literally swings the bat, and it's like, okay, you are not just a talking brother. And not only does he swing a bat, he takes care of one of my favorite characters in the book, and they do not spare us the camera angle. They show it all right there in its vivid, gruesome, gory details. So I feel like Bahau's Mind, once he takes his swing, it's actually gonna be a big blow. Okay.
That'll be interesting to see.
And I think we kind of talked about this a little early on. I guess I'll speak a little bit if that's okay with you. The two Forsaken, and then we also had to talk about the ways. And one of our conversations when we talked about the ways was how things that you don't see sometimes can be more scary than things that you actually do see. And in this book, I'll actually say that I was a little bit more frightened about the Forsaken because I didn't see them coming. And when they did come, it's like I did not know what all and what not you guys were capable of, because I never seen that interaction coming. And nor did I expect that as a show watcher, because we did not see them come in that final moment too. So it's like, oh, snap. You know what I'm saying? Where did these brothers or used to be brothers come from? So I feel like that caught me off. I feel like I was more fearful of them than I was of the Dark One overall for book one.
Okay, so the Forsaken were more scary than the Dark One to you.
For me.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Okay. And then let's talk about a bit what the boys and Loyal and Lan, I don't want to call Lan a boy, that feels so wrong. After he just defeated the Dark One, he still gets boy status. That's so disrespectful. Well, no, I was like, I didn't say Rand, I said Lan. Okay.
Well, he got thrown against the wall by the Dark One, so I guess he did get little boy. Never mind.
He got little boy, yeah, a little bit. He got tossed aside. Wait, was it the Dark One? But I think that was one of the Forsaken. The
Forsaken threw him against the wall. Sorry, the Forsaken.
Yeah. But okay, so the boys come back with these items from the bottom of the eye of the world. Do you remember what they had with them?
Oh man, see, this is where the 2 weeks gets me.
You're gonna have to
remind me on this one.
Yeah, I'm actually just gonna see if I can put it up here.
It was one item that I know that she brought back to the king of the previous village that he was pretty surprised by. That was the one that stood out to me the most.
Do you remember what it was?
I do not know.
It's been 2 weeks. So
it's been 2 weeks, and it's bad because I just watched half of Valerian the other day, and I was about to say it was the little creature in the box. For those of you who have seen the movie Valerian, it's a creature that was in a box, and I was like, I know that's not it. Why am I thinking that?
Yeah, no, it's not that. But okay, so here we have Moiraine with, I believe Sean today called this last time a forbidden cookie, some sort of broken seal. Cookie. Yes. And then Loyal has here a chest. This is Todd's drawing. I'm just showing here. Mm-hmm. And inside the chest, that's what she brought to the Lord Agomar. You have infected my brain. I was about to call him Lord. Yes, I was about to say that. Yes. So that's what's in there. It's called the Horn of Valir. And then there's this banner, which is the banner of the previous dragon. You know, the Ilyena dude, Lews Therin. That's his banner. So this is what they found at the bottom of the eye. Any thoughts on that?
No thoughts other than like, so were these items just haphazardly just laying on the ground and you just kind of pick them up? Oh, like, look under this rock. Oh, it's a banner. Look on, you know, like one of the the Explorer missions where it's like, come on, guys, can you see it? It's right there. It's like, how did y'all get all the items that quickly? But hey, I'm not mad at them.
Yeah. Well, I think they were hidden in the pool of Sidene, and then Rand used the entire, like, well, Rand, I guess, and the Forsaken. They basically drank it all up, and so now the pool was empty. So it was just at the bottom of the pool.
Okay, so did that, and that might be a part I missed. So did they describe that as they were fighting, the pool was picked up?
They didn't describe that at all. But the pool was full, and then the pool was empty. So the pool was full when they started the fight, and then at the end of the fight, the pool was empty. So the assumption I have is that Rand and the Forsaken used it all up.
So somebody drank the dark Kool-Aid. I got you. Sidene Kool-Aid.
Sidene Kool-Aid. I mean, he did kind of just suck it up. Like, they had this board, and they were...
There might have to be like a graphic design made of that.
It's tainted Kool-Aid, so you know. We talked about this last time. So we've talked about, like, we now know that Rand has channeled before. In the show, we saw, like, one instance before of him breaking down the door. Here in the book, we know at least 3. Like, he healed Bella, he made the boat boom move, and, of course, there was the lightning. I don't know, like, do you think that the show just showing the one was enough, or would you have liked to have seen more?
Well, I guess there was a scene where he kind of touched the horse in the show, right? And were we supposed to infer from that is what happened?
I don't know. I don't remember him touching the horse. I remember
because he had a few interactions where he didn't have the interaction where Moiraine kind of like sifted her hand over the horse and we saw some things happen. But I was just giving him from the benefit of that every time we like pat the horse, you know, something like that. Are we supposed to infer from there? But no, I don't feel like I really needed to see anything like that to signify that he was a dragon, because in the back of my head I'm thinking Caucasian guy, red hair, you know what I'm saying, good looking main character type looking guy, if that even is a type. This guy seems like he'll be the dragon in my opinion. So I don't feel like having not seen those other examples would have necessarily changed my mind per se, because he already feels like, because of the way they casted it, like a main character dragon type guy.
You did comment. What was the word you used? He has a main character face.
Yeah, main character face.
Yeah. Okay. So I will just read the summary then for the final chapter.
Okay.
In the morning, it is plain that the blight is encroaching on the Green Man's domain now that he is gone. Loyal sings to the oak that marks his grave and says that this one spot will not succumb to the blight. The party returns to Faldara, where everyone is celebrating. Some talk of how the light became flesh and fought on their behalf, so it seems that they could see Rand somehow fighting with the One Power. This alarms Lord Algomar, who is nervous about a man channeling. Moiraine gives him the Horn of Valir, saying it needs to be taken to Ilion. And a few days later, we pick up with Rand, who is taking sword lessons from Lan. And he is complaining about how Moiraine has begun to ignore him completely. And he bemoans the fact that now that he knows what he is, he can never go home. And then we get, oh my gosh, a Moiraine perspective. Like for the final, 2 paragraphs? Moiraine sits alone, using the power to eavesdrop, presumably on Lan and Rand. And she smiles and quietly whispers that the dragon has been reborn.
Moiraine plays way too much.
It's Moiraine sitting in a chair with her jewel, smiling slyly. So, yeah.
I can visualize that. Mm-hmm. I've already got to see her in a hot tub, so I think the least I can do is visualize her sitting down with clothes on, smiling. So, visual there.
Yes. So, thoughts on this final chapter?
Thoughts on this final chapter are the fact that That's why I love your summaries too, because it kind of kickstarts some of my remembrance of things. The fact that I think the King Agumon,
Yes.
he got a little excited when I guess he found out, okay, oh, we're gonna summon so and so and so and so and so and so and bring them back. And Moiraine's like, oh, no. We're gonna take these items to said place, and then we'll see what happens from there. That was interesting in that regards, because it makes me think that regardless of what I've seen between the interaction between Rand and the Dark One, that it is not over by a long shot. But I kind of already knew that, right? Because there's a season 2 and there's more books. But it's just funny to kind of think that, because I feel like the group is in a good mental space right now, so to speak. The things that they're stressing over have to do with them trying to go back to normal life. Whereas I think the bigger picture is, you know, the Dark One might have, I don't know, a even darker Dark One out there. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Because it is interesting. Like I said, I think I told you this last week. I read this book not knowing that it was the first in a series. I thought it was a standalone book. So you get to the end, and there's this weird battle that I did not understand what happened. Like, Rand is climbing steps in the sky, and then he's falling, and then I don't know what's going on.
I feel it. I fully understand you, though. This was by far the most confusing scene or set of circumstances in this reading. For sure. And then, like, there's this weird thing, like, it's not as weird when you know there's more coming, but it was really weird to me, this sudden appearance of this horn that apparently can summon dead heroes. And then, like, for me, that's the end of the story? What do you mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So when you know there's more coming, we've introduced a new thing that can do magic somehow. For sure. But as enlightening as that was, it was also as equally frightening. Because if you can summon the good guys, doesn't that mean that, quote unquote, you possibly could summon the bad guys too back again? We already see that the Forsaken could come back. So as cool as it was to hear, it just made it seem like, does anybody ever stay down after they take that L or after they lose? So as cool as it was to hear that, it made me seem like, okay, this is a continuous cycle.
So we don't know. We really don't know about what exactly the Horn of Valir does. Do you remember the Horn of Valir from the show? Do you remember, like, where and when it appeared in the show?
Absolutely not.
Okay. The Horn in the show, in the final episode, they start, like, digging underneath, what you called him, Brother Flock. They start digging underneath his throne, and they pull out a chest. You remember this?
Yeah. Because Brother Book they tried to play with us and make it seem like Brother Book got shanked and that he was dead.
Yes,
right there
exactly.
at this spot. So
do you remember what happened to the chest in?
Did Pat and Fane take it with him?
Yes, Pat and Fane took it with him. And they said in the show, like, it's not ambiguous. They said it's the Horn of Valir. I think there's a character that says the Horn of bloody Valir, man. Like, he says it like that. So Pat and Fane takes it. Yeah.
For sure. And then hearing that, it was like, I don't know what any of that means. Brother Book, are you okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is Brother Book good?
Yeah.
And all that other stuff that's in the chest, I'm sure it's nice, sweet, and all of that. Brother Book, can you wake your behind up, please? I think that's
right.
what and Perrin, why aren't you fighting? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think those are the two things. So it was one of those things that I'm sure for book readers, it's like, oh, Pat and Fane has it, not the other guys. But to me, it was like, all right, I'm sure this is cool as any other treasure chest in any other show. But
right.
Can we please?
Yeah. Okay. So that is it. Yeah, because it wouldn't register with you because you don't know what the Horn of Valir is. And even in the book, at the end of book 1, you really, like, it summons dead heroes back, but you don't know what exactly that means. And as you said, does it summon dead enemies back
Villains?
Too? We don't know. We don't know. And
for sure,
in the show, they've indicated that Pat and Fane has it. So if an evil person uses it, I don't know what happens. Yeah. Okay. And
you don't know what happens, or you won't say what happens.
I won't say what happens. I won't say
there
what
we
happens.
go. There we go.
You're exposing my.
The thing about this though is, even as we're going to this phase, this final chapter, I'm expecting something bad to happen. I'm expecting Pat and Fane to come up out of nowhere and slit somebody's throat and take the chest and run or leave. And obviously that's something that does not happen. In which, let me ask you this question. the king and queen that we saw at the city, who died in that battle,
right.
was that King Agumon?
Yeah, it was the same name, Agumar. Yes, and his sister was Annalisa. Amalisa, I think it's an M. Amalisa. They are the same. They're the same names. I don't know if the show was saying that they were the same people, but it's the same names. It's so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I feel like this is like a double spoiler.
Okay.
Like a double spoiler, because he does not die in the book.
No.
But we see him get killed in the show.
Right.
So I feel like it's a double spoiler, because I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we definitely saw Amalisa die. I am very much a. Did we see a corpse? Because they did not show.
Oh yeah. My fault. I'm breaking my own rule.
Yeah,
you're right about that. My fault.
Yeah,
you're right.
We saw Amalisa die 100%. Her eyes were burnt out. But Agomar, they speared him through the chest, and then he looks. He doesn't do the fall forward thing that they do in movies to show that he died. So
yeah.
I've had arguments with people who read the books. Like, this is not like a show not reading the books versus reading the books thing. This is a my TV brain says.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I feel you on that. And had I not, and I'm gonna bring this all together. Had I not watched the 100. I would not agree with you.
Okay.
But because I watched 100, I will say that. But it technically did pass my chest, because when I seen that spear come through and just stick that brother to, I was like, yeah, good fight, my brother. Appreciate you. I'm sorry to see that happened to you. But I watched the 100, and there was a character who out of nowhere got thrown a javelin. I don't know if you've seen the 100 or not.
No.
But a javelin got thrown through him, the most gruesome way I've ever seen. And that brother ended up living all the way for a couple, a lot more seasons, like 3, 4, 5 more seasons after that. So I didn't know people could, sometimes the assault is way worse than the actual impact it has in the end. But I don't know. That was a pretty bad one. My thoughts were that he was no longer with us.
Yeah, I thought that was my initial thought, but it was on rewatches. I was like, he didn't do the thing they do in movies to show you that somebody's dead. He didn't do the thing. So I
unless he's one of the people who can be called back to life with that horn or something. Maybe he gets to.
He could be, because it says it calls back the heroes, and I see Shansei talking about The Last of Us. Joel, even in the show, gets a lot of things happen to him that he should not survive. He should not survive the way he gets impaled and stuff. So, yeah, movie people, I mean, even in movies, like, everybody gets knocked unconscious and then they're, like, fine. In my area of study, we studied, like, brain injuries. No. If you are knocked unconscious for, like, any length of... you are probably not okay. Like, that is a traumatic brain injury. That
is true. Like, the amount of times a main character, side characters get knocked out, like butted in the head with the gun, and then they black out and come back to. I'm like, I'm sure that's not good for you in the long haul of things.
No.
Regardless if you wake up in a hospital.
Yeah, it's really not. Like, if you were unconscious for like you were unconscious for like half an hour, you have a traumatic brain injury. You might not be able to read or taste anymore. Like, something's gone on there. What did you think about it? Like, Moiraine, Lord Agomar is so happy when he gets the horn. He's like, okay, cool, we can go into the Blight and we can take out all the Trollocs. And Moraine's like, nope, you gotta take this till the end. Like, she seems to have plans for this horn. What did you think about that?
I had like split personality disorder on this.
Yeah.
I was, and I'm gonna tell you what I mean. The normal Addison was like, okay, she knows something we don't know. The alternate Addison was like, nah, Moiraine, you can't call the shots no more. Ran is big dog. We consulting with him. Ran, what you want to do, my boy?
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I had split. I was like, nah, you don't get to speak first no more, Moiraine. I was feeling how Rand felt when he met the White Cloaks and he got the mud splattered on him, and he stood his ground. So that was what a part of me was feeling. But
yeah. I like, again, this is one of those things that the first time I read, and the first several times I read it, Moiraine is the all-knowing. She's the Gandalf, right? She just shows up and she knows everything. So I trusted her. This time around, reading, it's like, really, Moiraine? Like, you know, I'm on Moraine's side. Like, I'm generally like 99.99% of the time on Moraine's side. But like, This man lives on the edge of the blight and is fighting Trollocs on the daily. Like, probably not on the daily, but like that is the purpose of his life. You've just given him something and said, this will kill all the Trollocs for you. This is the tool.
That's a fact.
And now you've told him, but you can't use it. Like, that was mean. At the very least, you got to explain. Like, it's really, really mean to be like, you know all of the problems in your life? Here's a magic pill that can solve it that you need to give to somebody else. Like, that's
it is bittersweet, and that's why I told you I had that that little split personality. Rand was gonna be like, "What you gonna do, Moiraine? Sick land on me?" When I was like, "Hold on, let me calm down." That's how people end up going down the dark path.
Exactly.
But it is. It would almost, to me, it almost seemed like you shouldn't even told him. You shouldn't even gave him that type of hope.
Because it was in a chest that he didn't seem to. Well, maybe he could have opened it, but like she had to open. It was a special opening thing. She could have just given it to him and been like, "Deliver this to Ilian." Like she just.
Yeah, for sure.
She just made it. So it's so cruel. Although I suppose for the narrative, we had to know what it was.
Yeah, but we could have had that conversation before we went to the castle with the king and them. Brother Book and Lan always tell you the worst possible outcomes of everything. So I'm surprised they didn't spill the beans on this situation. Where's the good information? Y'all always tell us the bad information. Spill the beans on the good stuff.
Yeah.
I think the importance of it was we get to see other people realize how prominent or how powerful of an object or some of the items that they had were outside of just their normal group. So I think maybe that was one of the impacts that it had. So it made me take it more serious. It's kind of like one of those things to where you may not like something, but when you find that everybody else around you likes it, like, okay, oh, I guess that is kind of cool. Yeah, I guess I'll give it a try. So it made me respect the items a little bit more.
Yeah, that is true.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in to today's video with your boy Addison and Jenny. There is a second part to this, so do not forget to go to Jenny's YouTube channel to check that out. And as I mentioned earlier on in the video, we have the season 2 prediction video coming for this channel. Make sure y'all get in on that conversation by going to the Discord, and we are going to look forward to seeing y'all on the next episode.